Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Here I have a great article for you guys from the T-Mo News. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So this new plan that T-Mobile added to its current offering could potentially be a bad sign. And it would be a bad sign, of course, for the consumer. So in a video that I made a few weeks back, you guys heard me discuss that T-Mobile and price increases are going to be more and more frequent. And moving forward, even after this new plan that has a higher price, we're going to probably see more of this in the future. Right now, margins and monetization are very, very important for T-Mobile. For one, they're building a large scale network, the largest scale they've ever operated at. So what happens there? The OpEx goes up. The operational costs increase significantly. And there's really no offsetting that. You can lower your CapEx, you just won't be able to accelerate as much. But every time you build a new cell site, and you front the upfront cost with CapEx, your OpEx is going to be there regardless. You're going to have to lease it. You're going to have to pay that rent every month. You're going to have to pay for the fiber. So they have to make money to cover a much larger OpEx than they've ever carried before. Much larger. So monetizing is going to be very important for T-Mobile. So there's going to be several things that the senior executive team are going to have to figure out. They're going to have to figure out how to get you out of older plans into newer plans more effectively and make it very attractive for you to even want to move into newer plans that are more expensive. Right? This plan is not going to do it. Upgrading yearly is not that big of a deal to the average consumer. So they're not going to get a massive amounts to move into this plan. But in the future, I think the team is going to be focused way more on looking at, okay, how do we get the current base that's on an older plan? How can we put something on a new plan that they can't get, but make it attractive enough to where they want to move in to that new plan? That's what T-Mobile is going to figure out. They're going to try to figure that out. That's what they're going to work on. I guarantee it. Yearly upgrades, that's not attractive enough for the majority. There's going to be the minority. There's going to be a few, like I said, a few percent that are going to take to this. But a large part of the base is not going to want to move and pay more just to upgrade yearly. That's why I said it would be more accretive, in my opinion, and more attractive if it could be added as an add-on. Because if you have 6 lines, and one of those lines would like to upgrade every year, you would have to move on to your entire family or all your lines onto this new plan just to take advantage of it. So an add-on, a $10, $15 add-on, whatever, I think would have made more sense, because those people that want it, you can just add that cost onto the plan and then bam, you monetize that. But there's a lot of stuff to figure out for T-Mobile. They're putting a lot of capacity on air, so they got to monetize that. They got to continue loading up the network. They eventually want to surpass Verizon in total customer counts. You know, they're well on their way of doing that, but they got to keep the growth. They got to keep it hot, right? They got to keep customers coming in, and they have to strike a perfect balance. They got to be able to figure out, okay, how do I continue growing, but also getting better at my margins? That's something that they have to look at. Like I've stated in a video, in an AT&T video a few weeks back, AT&T still posts better bottom line numbers at the same time while T-Mobile grows more. That shouldn't be happening. If you're the most growing company or the fastest growing company, you should have the best financials. And that right now has not translated entirely. Right? If you look at net income, if you look at revenue, AT&T still produces more of that. And that's what T-Mobile has to figure out. They have to strike that perfect balance. Now, they're kind of starting to do that. And I pointed this out in many previous videos. Instead of offering free lines, why don't you just discount them? Charge $5, charge $10, $15, whatever. Make some revenue on those lines. And that's something that they're starting to do now on the Go 5G Next. That free line is going to be a $10 charge. And I don't see anything wrong with that. It's $10. It's not, it's not free anymore, but it's not like you're paying 50, 60 bucks. You're just paying 10 bucks for it. So I don't see it as a big deal. I know some of you are going to see it as a big deal, especially as you add in multiple free lines. I mean, there's people out there that have 7, 8 free lines. So if you charge all of those $10, you would add $80 to your bill. It's a pretty hefty price. And then you're looking at territory. Okay, I'm paying now what I would pay on Verizon. Maybe I get a better deal even on Verizon with mixing and matching. Let me just go with Verizon. They have the larger network. So all of that, T-Mobile will have to consider. But as they maneuver as a company and they don't feel a lot of competitive pressure in the market, they still continue growing the way that they have been. We're going to continue to see moves like this. They're going to try to test their brand strength. They're going to try to test the market, and they're going to try to better their financials. And there's no better way to do it, right? They're not going to force the existing base to pay more. They're not going to do that. That's by history. That's not what T-Mobile does. The current leadership team is still sort of intact from the LTE days. Mike Sievert still being the CEO. They're not going to touch grandfathered unlimited plans. They're not going to do that. But they're going to try to work in new plans and features that are accretive to them, attractive to you, and may make you want to move into them to pay more so they can actually make more money and better margins. I'm going to end the video on this. This is not going to do it. I don't see a significant amount of people choosing this plan to offset or bring any upside to any finances. It's not like in a few months at a quarterly earnings they're going to say, oh, we grew our ARPU 2% because of this. That's not going to happen. It's not a significant enough move for people to all of a sudden want to switch to this higher end plan. Like I said, if they would have added more value beyond what's offered on the Go 5G Plus, right? If they would have thrown in a streaming service, 100 gigs a hotspot, 200 gigs, whatever, I think that could have been more attractive. But just for yearly upgrades, I don't think it's going to move the needle too much. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.